Hi everyone, my name is Crystal and welcome back to our YouTube channel, Bible-Based Teens. Today is Sunday, March 1st, and this is our follow-up episode to our video from last week. And before I get started, I just want to say that if you like the content of this channel, go ahead and like and subscribe so you can get our new content week after week. And don't forget, if you have any thoughts, place them in the comment section below so we can get the conversation started. So let's get to it. So our scripture verse from last week was Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. And the scripture reads, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." So last week we said that this scripture was actually about spiritual warfare and can be broken down into two parts. The first part of the scripture is referring to what we are not fighting against, and the second part of the scripture is referring to what we are fighting against. And in the first part of the scripture, it talks about us not fighting against flesh and blood, meaning we are not fighting against anything that we can see with our physical eyes. And so we said that essentially the spiritual wickedness in the heavenly realm influences the physical realm through the powers of darkness and the rulers of this world. So this scripture is not only showing that the camp of the enemy is highly organized and highly disciplined, but also that the enemy has a goal to influence our physical world by directing evil and darkness to cause chaos and conflict. So as this week was passing by, I was thinking about this scripture, especially on Thursday when my daughter went to school. So on Thursday, she went to school. She was super excited to start this particular club at school. And she went to school. She was trying to start this club related to her passion. She was looking for the right person to speak to, looking for the documents that she needed to hand in, things like that. And so, she was super excited. But then all of a sudden she called me in the middle of the day and she sounded so upset and so defeated. And she said she was getting conflicting information. She wasn't able to find the right person, the right advisor. And for some reason, as I was on the phone with her, I could sense in that moment there was some warfare happening. And so I began to pray and I began to ask God to remove every contrary spirit and bring her to the right person that will show her favor. And I continued to pray. But after that conversation, I began to reflect on our scripture because, people usually think that warfare is in the context of major life decisions or situations that only affects adults. But in reality, warfare can be anything. It can be anything that is opposing God's will for us. And this can be against anyone, young or old. And so it's very important for us as parents to cover our children and for our children to know what spiritual warfare actually is so they can actually pray against those things, targeted prayers, rather than prayers that are not targeted towards that particular warfare. And so I just wanted to share that word with you.